Good evening, and welcome to the rivalry week in college football. Um, I will be in section 36A, about halfway up on Saturday morning. Well, we'll be in the stadium about 11. It might be tough to get there, but we'll be there Saturday morning from the hours of noon till about 4 o'clock. There'll be bloodshed all over the field, and I will leave that stadium very happy. I know a couple of y'all in this watching this video will be there as well. Let's try to meet up sometime that day if we can. It's going to be a incredible game. I was there 10 years ago. When everyone that was the game of the century that they said at that time, and that was the day that Troy Smith solidified himself as the Heisman candidate. I don't think the Buckeyes have a Heisman candidate um, on the roster yet that we know of, but this will propel somebody for next year. I've got a sneaky feeling. So this game makes heroes and it makes legends. So looking forward to that. And secondarily, I hope everyone has a good Thanksgiving tomorrow. It should be a good time. There's lots of NFL football tomorrow. There's 3 games tomorrow, including a big one in the evening with the Pittsburgh Steelers playing the Indianapolis Colts. There's a lot of fantasy football players on both teams. A lot of individual players on both of those teams that matter a lot. So please make sure you have set your lineups. If not here on Wednesday night, then definitely sometime tomorrow morning. The first games, the Detroit Lions play, I believe at 12 or 12:30 is when the first game starts. So please make sure you have your lineup set tomorrow before you sit down for the big meal at lunchtime. In true college football fashion, however, we're not going to do power rankings anymore for the next 3 weeks. By the end of the regular season, we're going to have a selection show where we truly figure out the teams. The committee met for the past couple days, and they currently have their top 4 right now. It's a biased committee, so hard to predict where they're going to put teams. Now, just because you have a certain record or because you beat a certain team, that doesn't mean the committee appreciates that. So, if you want to make the playoffs in this league, you need to impress the committee. And I know the committee spends a lot of time deliberating on these teams to see who the top 4 teams are each and every week. So let's take a look at the board and let's see who is going to be in the first round of rankings. There we are. There's 1 and 4 in one semifinal game. There's 2 and 3 in the other semifinal game. All right, we'll start here. The number 1 team from Cincinnati. No surprise here. These guys have really been impressive the past couple weeks. They are Team Bolton, the Cincinnati Harambees. They have a 9-2 record, and they're entering their bye week. So there's a pretty good chance for them staying at number 1 next week. They're ranked number 1 right now because of the number 1 fantasy football scoring quarterback right now in Aaron Rodgers, and he's throwing to tight ends Rob Gronkowski and Jimmy Graham. That is a very deadly combination. The Harambees definitely are getting it done from the ground, or definitely getting done from the air, not so much from the ground. So that's pretty tough. They also finished the season after their bye week versus 2 teams without a winning record. So unless something drastic happens, that number 1 seed might stay right where it's at. Let's move over here then. The number 2 seed, and this is going to be a little controversial. We're going to flip them both pretty quickly. We're actually going to put the Dartown Meth Cookers at number 2. Now, and they're led by their running back team. These guys definitely get it done on the ground. These guys are grounding and pounding. They have Ezekiel Elliott, they have David Johnson, and they have Shady McCoy. All 3 of those running backs are in the top 7 in total running back points from the National Football League. If you think out of all 32 teams in the NFL, they have at least 3 running backs on their roster that touch the ball each week. So, 32 times 3 is going to be 96 running backs. So out of 96 running backs, the Dartown Meth Cookers have 3 running backs in the top 7 out of those 96 running backs. So that's really good. These guys did a really nice job drafting. They do not own the tiebreak versus Team Bolton, though. So these guys are probably going to be sitting at number 2 for a while, unless Team Bolton does some kind of slip up. But they can probably clinch a number 2 or number 3 seed by simply winning out. They also have a bye week this week. Number 1 and number 2 are the 2 teams that have bye weeks this week. But after the bye, they get to play Team Gookin next week, which is fighting for their playoff lives before rounding out the year versus Team Mabus. Team number 3. Now, these guys have a legitimate beef versus Team Jordan Ratliff and the Dartown Meth Cookers. The committee felt that they valued momentum. In the Meth Cookers, Team Jordan here, they have a 3-game win streak, and that 3-game win streak has put them at number 2. They also are currently sitting as in the top seed of their conference. So these guys, although they don't have as good a record as Team Ryan, the committee's valuing conference championship and valuing momentum, which is why they're sitting at number 2. And Team Ryan Vonderhaar and the Camden Heroines are currently sitting at number 3. And they have a legitimate beef, and they're going to work it out on the field. They will settle it shortly, but for now, this is the way it is. Then you come over here. There's a couple teams that could be here. There's a couple teams that have an opportunity to be here, but without further ado, it is going to be currently sitting. No surprise here if you look at the records, would be the South Eaton Wise Old Owls. They're a solid number 4. They 7-4 record. 3 of their losses, again, they have 4 losses. 3 of these losses. Here's a loss, and here's 2 more. So Team Derringer doesn't let silly losses beat them. They are who they are, and they aren't who they are not. They have a game this week against team number 5, actually. Here's the next 2 teams out. Next 2 teams out are going to be here and here. These 2 teams have still opportunities to get into the top 4, whereas these 4 teams are actually, the bottom 3 are mathematically eliminated. This one technically is not mathematically eliminated, but chaos has to completely ensue for that to happen. Boy, remember where these guys were not too long ago. They used to be number 1 in our power rankings, and now they are not even in the playoff hunt. They started the season 4-1. They have since gone 1-4. Are currently sitting at 5-5, and they have a 3-game losing streak and are in danger of being eliminated from playoff contention, especially with a loss this week versus that team. If Team Derringer can put some distance between these 2, we basically will have our 4 teams in the playoffs, just in some kind of order. We don't know what order that would be yet, but that's where we're sitting now. So actually, not really very dramatic at all with regards to our playoff games. So in the Fiesta Bowl right now, it looks like it's these 2. And in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, it's going to be these 2 teams with those winners to meet for the granddaddy of them all here later in the year. And that's going to be all the time we have for today. Again, wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and beat Scum here on Saturday. And I think that's it. Until next time, I am Mike Derringer. That means you're not.